ISO 27001 Annex A 8.21 Security of Network Services. So here we're looking at the service level agreements that we have. We're not necessarily looking about the technical implementation. What the standard is looking for is looking at security of network services by implementing service level agreements. So if we have service level agreements in place that cover the key points and the key elements, and we can evidence that, we're going to be absolutely golden. What we're also going to be doing here is putting in a regular review with the service provider, be that internal or be that external, to make sure that those services are being delivered at an optimum level and that the management system is operating effectively. So let's take a little look at what the definition is. The definition of this requirement is security mechanisms, service levels, and service requirements of network services should be identified, implemented, and monitored. So you're going to get the help of your network professionals here, right? They're going to help you to understand what it is that they're providing. Again, whether that's in-source, an internal resource, or whether that's outsourced, and they're going to help you to pull that together. It is easier if it's outsourced, clearly, because an outsourced service provider is going to have documented this already for you. Let's have a little look at the kind of things that we're going to be looking at. So the kind of services that the network service provider is going to be providing to is access to networks and services. They have to provide us with a level of access. As with everything, we've covered this in a number of previous controls. So here we're going to be looking at Annex A 515 access control and Annex A 518 access rights. So we're going to be making sure that those are implemented and are in our service level agreements. We're going to be looking at authentication. So the requirements on authentication for accessing services that should be set. So we're looking here at Annex A 517, authentication information. We're going to be looking at the mechanisms for authorization, so procedures that determine who is allowed access to networks and services are to be put in place, and this is covered under Annex A 515 access control that we've already covered. We're then looking at things like technical controls. So technical controls, the network management and technical controls, as well as the processes to access connections and services, will be in place. This is covered under Annex A 8.20, 820, network security. We're then going to be looking at access types, how access is carried out as physical network, wireless network, VPN, and all of those are going to be determined. We're going to be looking at making sure our service level and our reviews are looking at monitoring and logging. Monitoring and logging was covered in Annex A 816, monitoring activities, but here we're looking at recording of the time, the location, and appropriate logging attributes of users that access networks and services, and making sure that those are in place. We're going to be making sure that we've covered security features. So the features of the network are going to be identified and they're going to be implemented and they're going to be documented. 27001 is a documentation heavy standard. We're going to make sure that they're documented. And here the things that we're considering are things like encryption, connection controls, caching, restrictive access, firewalls, private networks, intrusion detection are also considered. Finally, here we're looking at the network security professional. So in all of this, it has to have the involvement of a network security professional, right? Even if it's outsourced, you should have somebody in your organization that understands, at least on a rudimentary level, network security, and can ensure that this agreement and service level is in place and can be involved in that review. So there isn't much here that we haven't already covered when it comes to the implementation. This is really looking at that service level agreement, that regular contact where we're reviewing those service level agreements and we're making sure that the network security is running at an optimum level. When it comes to the audit itself, the auditor is going to check the usual, right? They're going to make sure that we've got documentation. So do we have those service level agreements? Can we evidence that we've had regular reviews? Can we show what the outputs are? Can we show how those outputs, if they were negative and there was a non-conformity, how we address that and how we move that forward and whether that played into risk management or not. They're going to look at the implementation of network security. They've already covered that. So obviously they've gone through the previous Annex A controls. They've looked at the physical implementation. So they're going to be checking that, and they're going to be doing that in relation to this. What are the controls that you've got and how do they relate back to the service agreements you've got and the reviews that you've done? And finally, as with everything, they're going to be checking that you've conducted those internal audits, right? So this is part of continual improvement. We touch on it every single time. We've got to do an internal audit of everything at least once annually. and more regularly based on risk, you can check out the additional tutorial where we covered that. So not a particularly hard one again for you to implement. Annex A 8.21, security of network services, service level agreements, regular reviews, document what it is that you do what you say you do, and you're going to be absolutely golden. My name is Stuart Barker. I am the ISO 27001 Ninja. We're working our way through these Annex A controls. So until the next tutorial, peace out.